So you want to grow your business and you know your clients are on LinkedIn. So what do? You follow what the experts say. You're posting 3 to 5 times a week with various content formats. You're commenting just like they say, 5 to 10 comments a day on all the big influencer accounts. And the results, drum roll please, is crickets. The same 3 to 5 people are liking each of your posts. No one is engaging with them, even when you change up your call to action at the bottom. Your comments are getting generated by hundreds of others that are AI generated. And you're getting frustrated because you're putting all this time and effort into real posts and thoughtful comments. But the secret to growing on LinkedIn, using it to grow your business, is not about commenting. It's not even about posting. It's about building relationships. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to use LinkedIn specifically to grow your business without posting. And I'm going to give you 5 ways to do that. Ready? Let's dive in. So before we start talking about how to grow your business on LinkedIn without posting content, we have to distinguish between what is a social media platform and what is a social networking platform. So social media is a platform for broadcasting information. It's kind of one way. Maybe there's some feedback, but it's about broadcasting information. On the other hand, social networking is about communicating with each other and using that platform to foster those relationships. LinkedIn is kind of unique because it has both the social media broadcasting posting capability, but it also has the social networking that we have come to expect. You can see your first degree, second degree, third degree connections on the app. You can see people whose profiles look like yours. You could have those DMs and the conversations to further relationships. And you could also see when you're about to connect with someone, do they have people in common? You can start to really visualize your network map and find ways to build relationships with others in your world that you can't do on a platform like Instagram. You can't really search Instagram and say, I want to connect with these people in these locations who maybe have this kind of background. You can't really join groups on Instagram. So again, Instagram, very social media focused. Facebook kind of has social media and social networking strategies, but LinkedIn is kind of unique because again, you can not just post and broadcast, but you can use the network mapping features to build real relationships and build your stronger ecosystem. And also, LinkedIn is a little bit unique because unlike some of the other platforms these days, LinkedIn will show your content to second and third degree connections, where Instagram and TikTok in 2024 era really don't do that unless someone showcases it to your stories or unless a reel gets popular and gets surfaced. But LinkedIn, it does showcase the content from your broader network. But if you don't have those people in your network, the algorithm is not going to work for you. If you only have a couple hundred people that you're connected with, your network is much smaller. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to utilize the social networking features of LinkedIn versus the social media portions of LinkedIn. If your ideal audience isn't in your network, the first step is really to go find them outside of LinkedIn and connect with them elsewhere and then bring them to the platform. So here are 5 ways to grow your influence and grow your business without the grind of posting. Posting has its place. It is a way to aerate your ideas. It's a way to put those in the world and kind of gather people around you. But again, you don't have to post on LinkedIn in order to make the platform work for you. All right, number 1 is start a conversation in the DMs. Why try to meet all these new people until you're in regular communication with the people that you already know? So let me be clear. This is not about connecting with someone and then being like, hey, you look interesting, want to chat? Or even worse, hey, I see you do this thing that I do. Would you like to have a conversation about how you can work with me? No, we don't want to immediately start selling. However, there are people that you have connected with in your network that you might have some common relationships. You might know each other. You might like what they post and you might like what they comment. As someone says, when you go to someone in a bar and you really like what they're wearing, you think they're cool, you'd be like, hey, I like your shirt, I like your shoes. We can do that on LinkedIn. You can say, send a DM to someone and says, hey, I really like the content you're posting. We seem very values aligned. What's going on in your world? It doesn't always have to be a call, although it can be. Hey, would you like to have a coffee chat? Hey, what are you working on? Again, it doesn't have to be scammy. It doesn't have to be salesy, but it does have to be, you seem interesting. And I like interesting people. What's something that's going on that's interesting for you? Again, a lot of people are really busy right now. Not everyone wants calls. So it can be a conversation that's just had in the DMs. So step one, look at your network and say, who haven't I talked to in a while? Who do I wish I'd like to get to know better? And how can you be the first one to reach out and say, hey, you're cool, I'm cool. Let's see if we can do something to help grow each other's businesses or just like get to know each other as human beings. So one, start a conversation with people in the DMs. Two, connect with people you're already in community with. Clients, peers, mentors, collaborators. Again, if you want these people in your network and they are already in your network, let LinkedIn give you the credit of having these people already in your world. Again, you probably have shared values. You might work together. You might be learning from each other. But more importantly, you know each other. And again, the more people that you have in your network that you actually know, the broader your network gets, the more people see your content, the more people want to share the content. Maybe the same 5 steps that I'm encouraging you to do here, someone else will see this video and say, oh, I'm going to connect with you because they watch this video. But again, they can't do that if they're not in connection with you. So go look at all the communities you're a part of, all the vendors you work with, that are people, not just companies, all the peers you're in relationships with, all of your real life friends. How are you connected with them on the platform? I'm always shocked at like how many of if they want to grow on LinkedIn, how many of my students don't already have a connection with me on LinkedIn? I will comment on your stuff. I will reshare, again, one of the things we're going to talk about in my network, but I can only do that if you're connected with me on the platform. So this is an invitation to go through every one of your communities, find 5 to 10 people in every one of them and just send them a note and say, hey, we're in this community together. We'd love to be connected here on the platform. So that's step 2. Connect with people you already know on the platform and make sure that your network is representative of the people you actually know. Step 3, comment on other people's posts. Now, we talked about commenting earlier, but this is like, I don't want you to go comment on the influencer posts and things like that. Don't connect with them. They're never going to see your stuff. That worked 3 or 4 years ago. But if you have peers that post something interesting and you want to get to talk with them better, comment on their stuff. Tell them that you liked it. At minimum, like it and then comment on it. But it doesn't have to be super thoughtful comments. In fact, people just want to have a conversation. So if they ask a question, answer the question. It doesn't have to be the best comment ever. But again, you're competing a little bit now with like AI generated nonsense. So how can you just answer the question, engage, tell them that they did a good job, do it publicly if you can. People will see that you commented on their stuff, but they're also that person who you commented on their post is going to feel pretty grateful. And that's going to be another drop in the relationship trust bucket. Number 4 is you can reshare someone's post to your network. We all know the drill on LinkedIn. Reshares and things with links in them get dinged by the algorithm. But resharing someone else's post to your network does 2 things. 1, it illustrates to your network that you have taste, that you can curate interesting information. It continues to add to the body of work because it's not just the body of work that you've built, but it's the body of work that you curate and the people you listen to and the influences that inform your body of work. So it's still content that you're publishing even though you didn't write it. Resharing might get less views, but they're going to be better views. But also think about the deposit in the trust account of the person whose post you just reshared. They will remember that and they will be more likely to help you when you ask. Again, we don't want to be transactional, but everyone wants their stuff to be seen a little bit more. And how do we think more broad? How do we think about our ecosystem? How do we act with radical generosity to spotlight and showcase the people you care about, particularly if you have a slightly larger platform than they do? Even if you don't, it's still really important to continue to build trust, build relationships, build collaborations, and it can start with as simple as you resharing their posts to their networks. That's number 4. You don't have to create the content, but you can spotlight someone else's. And then 5, comment on people's posts that you want to get to know. Again, we don't have to go giant influencers here, but if you'd like to be on someone's podcast, that's maybe in your broader network, 1 to 2 degrees out, how can you comment on their stuff? How can you, by the way, this is not just applicable to LinkedIn, but how can you reply to their newsletters? How can you respond to their Substack? How can you be a familiar name in their world that they've seen you? They're like, oh, they like my stuff. Oh, they comment on this. They maybe viewed my profile. They haven't made an ask yet. So maybe they genuinely like my stuff. These people want to have engagement just like you want to have engagement. If you like their work, tell them. And do that repeatedly over time. Again, like we're not like saying do this every single post, but when you see their stuff, comment on it, engage with it, engage with them. And then over time, you might have an ask. You might want to connect with them. They might have a question and you may say, I'm uniquely qualified to answer that. They may connect with you because they're following some of these same principles. Again, this probably doesn't work with the giant people in the industry, but those who are your second degree connections, maybe your third degree connections, they want to connect with other people because they know that their business grows through relationships. So you can be strategic. Again, we don't have to be scammy or sleazy about it, but we can be strategic in saying, these are people who I want to have in my network. I want to have relationships with them. They may have some influence in the industry. I want to get to know them. But you have to take the time to get to know them. And when that time is taken, they may be amenable to having a more robust conversation or a more robust relationship. It's worked for me. It's how I've gotten on some podcasts. It's how I've gotten guests into my world. And those relationships pay dividends long after the 5 minutes commenting on their posts. And bonus tip number 6, not everyone is going to see all the content you post on LinkedIn because maybe they don't hang out on LinkedIn every day. Or as we know, especially in the times of Black Friday or the times of election, a lot of posts get kind of pushed down and kind of moved out of the algorithm by other more highly algorithmically ranked material. But that's okay. You can still use LinkedIn as a place to connect with people and invite them to join your newsletter. So again, this doesn't have to be like the immediate first, oh, we connected, you should join my newsletter. But it could be like, you connected with me. Hey, thanks for the follow. Hey, what's going on in your world? How can I help? Or, hey, I don't post a lot on LinkedIn here. If you want to hear more from me and you think we might have something in common, join my newsletter. I quit Instagram 6 months ago, and instead of waiting for them to click on my link in bio and find my newsletter, everyone that connects with me on Instagram, I say, hey, I don't post here anymore, but I write a fantastic newsletter every Sunday. Would you like to join? And I get like 100% hit rate because they're all interested in what I have to say. I should do more of this on LinkedIn. I should do more of this on YouTube. Hey, you like what I post here? Personally inviting people to subscribe to the place I do my best work, which is in my newsletter. Send them to your podcast, send them to your YouTube, send them to your newsletter, wherever you do maybe your better work if you're not posting on LinkedIn. So these are 5 strategies plus a bonus strategy that don't rely on posting at all, but are going to build your network 1 to 2 people at a time. And as we know, growing relationships, deepening those relationships, those 1 to 2 relationships that you build a week, that's 100 a year. That might turn into 300 and 400 the next year. And that's how it builds. So I'd love for you to try these 5 strategies, repeat them once a week each over 30 days, and tell me what happens to the quality of the conversations and the quality of your business after thinking about LinkedIn as a social networking tool versus social media. If you like this video, like, subscribe, let me know your results in the comments, and happy connecting.